Hello Lakers fan, if you are one of those who are always up to date with the news about our Lakers, then you need to stay tuned to what is coming up on our Lakers news channel. I am preparing exclusive coverage on the possible signings of Lakers, and what I can tell you is that rumors are catching fire on social media, and if you don't want to miss any information, stay tuned. We have exclusive news every day. If you are a true Lakers and don't want to be left out of the news, be sure to subscribe. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Let's go to the video.
LakersNation Roundtable. Key storylines to watch as training camp begins. The 2025-26 NBA season is just around the corner, and for the Los Angeles Lakers, this year's training camp feels especially meaningful. Media Day kicks off on Monday, September 29th, followed closely by the start of training camp and the preseason grind. But this isn't just another year in purple and gold. It's Luca Doncic's first full training camp as a Laker. Last season's blockbuster trade brought Doncic to LA in dramatic fashion, but the roster was pieced together in a hurry, leaving little time for chemistry to develop. Now, with a full off-season behind them, the Lakers finally have a chance to build real cohesion, and expectations are sky-high. General manager Rob Pelinka didn't sit still this summer. The Lakers made some bold moves, adding DeAndre Ayton, Marcus Smart, and Jake LaRavia, all of whom are expected to play significant roles. Head coach J.J. Redick, heading into his second season, also has a clearer vision of the team's identity, but that clarity will be tested over the next few weeks. So, as training camp begins, the big question is, what should we really be watching for? The LakersNation editorial team weighs in with the stories they'll be keeping an eye on. Trevor Lane, at Trevor_Lane. For me, it's all about vibe and clarity. Does this team know who they are? Are players embracing their roles, or resisting them? Take Ayton, for example. He'll likely be asked to focus more on defense and rim protection than he's been used to, even if that means sacrificing some of his mid-range touches. Is he ready to buy into that? What about Rui Hachimura? Will he shift into a bench role to bring more defense to the starting lineup? And then there's Luca and Austin Reeves. Are they prepared to step up defensively and fill in the gaps where this team has struggled? On paper, this team got better. But paper doesn't win playoff games. Buy-in, chemistry, and effort will. Ryan Ward, at Ryan Ward LA. Two big things are on my radar this camp. First, DeAndre Ayton's attitude and effort. Redick needs a fully engaged Ayton, not just a stat chaser. If Ayton shows he's willing to do the dirty work and stay focused, it could completely shift this team's ceiling. Second, Dalton Connect's response to adversity. After a rocky summer league and swirling trade rumors, will the young wing regain confidence, or fade under pressure? This is a big year for Connect, and the spotlight will be intense. Corey Hansford, at the Corey H. I'm watching the battle among the bench players. Someone's going to rise, and someone's going to fade. Connect struggled in Vegas, but we've seen what he can do when he's on. Jared Vanderbilt needs to bring enough offense to justify his defense. Jake LaRavia might be the two-way wing this team has been missing. And don't sleep on Marcus Smart returning to form, or on LeBron James finding a real defensive niche. This roster has depth, but the rotation won't set itself. Someone has to force J.J. Redick's hand. Matthew Peralta, at _Matthew Peralta. I'm low-key intrigued by the backup center spot. Jackson Hayes holds the job for now, but Maxi Kleber could shake things up. He's got chemistry with Luca, he can stretch the floor, and we've seen him impact playoff games in the past. Redick knows exactly what Kleber brings. After all, he once eliminated him in a playoff series. If Kleber can stay healthy and rediscover his rhythm, he might be more than just a depth piece. Ron Gutterman, at Ron Gutterman 24. This team's defensive identity, or lack of one, is my biggest concern. When Luca arrived last season, the defense spiked, but that was with Dorian Finney-Smith anchoring the perimeter. That's not the case anymore. And let's be real, unless Marcus Smart turns back the clock, this team doesn't have a true stopper. Redick's job is to build a playoff-caliber defense out of this group. If he can't, the Lakers won't be contenders, just another mid-tier playoff team. Mateus Valento, at Matt Huvalent. The fifth starter spot is one of the most fascinating subplots. Smart's arrival sparked early chatter that he'd join the starting five. But with his injury history, and the Lakers' past issues with three-guard lineups, that decision isn't so simple. Starting Luca, Reeves, and Smart together could leave them undersized on the wing and vulnerable defensively. Does Smart take on that challenge? Or does Hachimura sneak into the starting group to provide more balance? Redick needs to test both looks in preseason and make the right call fast. Final thoughts. There's no shortage of storylines heading into this pivotal training camp, from superstar integration to lineup battles, and from chemistry questions to defensive identity. With the pressure of expectations and the clock ticking on LeBron James' legendary career, this camp isn't just about getting in shape, it's about laying the foundation for a title run. All eyes are on Redick and this new-look Lakers squad. Whether they can rise to the occasion starts now, behind closed doors, in the grind of training camp. Lakers' pursuit of Andrew Wiggins faces major roadblock, says NBA executive. The Los Angeles Lakers have reportedly shown interest in Miami Heat forward Andrew Wiggins this offseason, but according to one anonymous NBA executive, there's a major obstacle standing in the way: Pat Riley's lingering resentment toward LeBron James. In a recent report by Ashish Mather of Lakers Daily, the executive expressed serious doubt that a deal involving Wiggins heading to Los Angeles would ever materialize, simply because of Riley's history with LeBron. "I'd be shocked if Pat made that trade," the executive said. "Do you really think Pat wants to help LeBron? He's still bitter about how LeBron left Miami. I just don't see it happening." There's some history to unpack here. LeBron James famously took his talents to South Beach in the summer of 2010, teaming up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in what became one of the most dominant runs in NBA history. Over 4 seasons, LeBron won 2 MVPs, 2 championships, and 2 Finals MVPs, appearing in the finals every year he was in Miami. But his departure in 2014, a return to Cleveland to chase a title in his home state, reportedly left Pat Riley feeling blindsided. And though years have passed, some around the league believe the tension hasn't completely faded. That tension could very well complicate any potential trade discussions between the Heat and the Lakers, especially if it means sending a high-impact player like Wiggins to help LeBron contend again in the West. From a purely basketball standpoint, Wiggins would be a tremendous fit in LA. His two-way versatility, perimeter defense, and playoff experience make him a natural complement to LeBron and Luca Doncic, giving the Lakers a serious boost on both ends of the floor. He'll turn 31 in February and holds a player option for the 2026-27 season, which lines up well with the Lakers' short-term championship window. But the Heat reportedly still believe they can compete in an Eastern Conference that remains wide open, and parting with Wiggins could run counter to that vision. On top of that, the Lakers are reluctant to include their future first-round pick, which could be a deal-breaker from Miami's perspective. Still, it's worth noting, if Miami begins to shift its focus toward the future or finds enough value in a package from LA, even long-standing grudges can take a back seat to business. As it stands, though, this potential trade remains a long shot, blocked as much by egos and old wounds as by asset negotiations. From a strategic standpoint, the Lakers' interest in Wiggins makes sense. After missing out on several key free agent targets this offseason and struggling with defensive consistency last year, adding a player of Wiggins' caliber could be the move that elevates them back into serious contention. Wiggins, a former No. 1 overall pick, has reshaped his identity in recent seasons. Once criticized for inconsistency in Minnesota, he became a key cog in Golden State's 2022 championship run, defending elite wings, hitting timely shots, and playing with a maturity that had eluded him early in his career. That version of Wiggins is exactly the kind of player Los Angeles needs. A wing who can defend at a high level and doesn't need the ball in his hands to be effective alongside stars like Luca Doncic and LeBron James. But the Heat's perspective is more complicated. According to league sources, Miami remains unsure of its long-term direction. The core led by Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Herro has reached its ceiling multiple times, making deep playoff runs, including a trip to the finals in 2023, but has fallen short of a title. Now with Butler aging and the team still lacking a true No. 1 scoring option, there's growing internal debate about whether to rebuild or keep pushing forward with the current group. Trading Wiggins could signal a pivot, or at least an acknowledgement that it's time to explore new pathways. But doing so by empowering a Western Conference rival, especially one led by LeBron, introduces an emotional variable that doesn't exist in most front office decisions. As one former executive told Lakers Daily off the record, this isn't just business with Riley. It's personal. The Lakers, for their part, are reportedly not desperate to force a deal. They view Wiggins as a luxury, not a necessity, and are unwilling to mortgage key future assets unless they believe the move will directly lead to a championship. That includes their 2029 first-round pick, which has become one of the most protected trade chips in the NBA due to the team's uncertain post-LeBron future. If talks were to progress, a third team might need to get involved, particularly one willing to absorb salary or facilitate draft compensation. But even that may not be enough to overcome the emotional hurdle that still exists between Riley and LeBron James, more than a decade after their breakup. What makes this situation even more intriguing is the timing. With Media Day approaching and training camps opening league-wide, both teams will need to make roster decisions quickly. If Miami intends to keep Wiggins in a significant role, they'll need to clarify his standing internally. If not, his presence could become a distraction, especially if other teams sense he's available and start circling. For now, the situation remains fluid. The Lakers are still evaluating other targets, while the Heat continue to project confidence in their current roster. But as the season draws near, the tension between past relationships and present opportunities could determine whether this high-profile move ever comes close to reality. In the NBA, old grudges rarely last forever, but they can still rewrite futures. Will LeBron James retire after this season? NBA experts weigh in. It wouldn't truly be an NBA offseason without the usual cloud of speculation hanging over LeBron James' future. And this year, the conversation feels heavier, more real, than ever. There have been whispers that LeBron might be considering a departure from Los Angeles, searching for a roster more aligned with his goals. Some insiders have even floated the possibility of the Lakers trading him before the 2025-26 season begins. But the real fuel behind this speculation? LeBron made a move that he's never made before. For the first time in his iconic 22-year career, LeBron James is entering a season without an extension, playing on an expiring contract. That means, should he choose to keep going, he'll become an unrestricted free agent next summer. And that uncertainty is driving questions from across the league. In a recent feature by ESPN's Tim Bontemps, 20 NBA insiders, including coaches, scouts, and executives, were asked for their predictions about the upcoming season and beyond. One of the most telling questions: where do you think LeBron James will be at the start of the 2026-27 season? The answers were all over the map, which in itself might say more than any one quote. If I had to bet, I'd still say the Lakers, said one Eastern Conference scout. But that's more about them being in the best position to pay him than it is about certainty. Nothing feels locked in with him anymore. Of the 20 people polled, 7 predicted LeBron would remain with the Lakers. 4 voted for a return to the Cleveland Cavaliers. 1 each chose the Golden State Warriors, Dallas Mavericks, and Miami Heat. 5 believed LeBron will have retired by 2026. It just feels like this is where the story ends, said one Western Conference scout. Still, LeBron hasn't made any commitments, not to retirement, not to staying in LA, and not to anything beyond this season. He was recently asked about his growing interest in golf during an appearance on 360 with Speedy, and whether that could hint at life after basketball. His response was honest and open-ended. "I'm not hinting at anything," LeBron said. "Obviously, I know I'm on the other side of the hill, let's be real. I'm not playing another 23 years, that's for sure. I'm not even playing another 10. I'm definitely getting ready for when the end comes, but I'm not there yet." It's a rare moment of vulnerability from one of the most controlled public figures in sports, and it reflects a truth fans and analysts alike are starting to grapple with. LeBron James is closer to the end than ever before. Whether that end comes next summer, or he decides to extend his legendary career just a bit longer, one thing is certain: this season could be the beginning of the final chapter. And if that's the case, the entire basketball world will be watching, every step, every milestone, every moment, wondering if it might be the last. LeBron's non-committal stance has only deepened the intrigue surrounding his final years. For someone who has meticulously shaped his legacy on and off the court, the lack of clarity feels intentional. It gives him the flexibility to evaluate his options, whether that's staying in LA, returning to Cleveland, joining another contender, or walking away on his own terms. This ambiguity has created ripple effects not just for the Lakers, but for the broader league landscape. Front offices are watching closely, some quietly preparing scenarios in case LeBron becomes available next summer, while others believe he might retire, leaving a generational vacuum in the NBA's star hierarchy. There's also the family element. For years, LeBron has expressed a desire to share the court with his son, Bronny James. With Bronny now under contract with the Lakers and expected to debut this season, The fulfillment of that dream could potentially give LeBron the closure he's looking for. But it could just as easily reignite his competitive fire. According to multiple reports, the Lakers are not pressing him for an answer. Internally, the organization is said to be operating on a year-to-year basis with James, fully aware of both the privilege and the challenge of navigating the final stages of a career like his. They've shaped their roster to remain competitive in the short term, but have avoided making long-term commitments that would limit flexibility in a potential post-LeBron era. One Western Conference executive put it plainly: everyone's trying to read the tea leaves, but with LeBron, there are no leaks. When he's ready to make a decision, we'll all find out at the same time. Meanwhile, teammates have adopted a quiet reverence for the moment. Several Lakers players, both veterans and younger names, have spoken privately about the importance of making this season count, not only because of their title aspirations, but out of recognition that they may be witnessing the end of something historic. Even opposing players and coaches are approaching matchups with LeBron this season with a different energy. You just never know when it's the last time you're going to face him, one Eastern Conference assistant coach said. He's still a force, still reads the game better than almost anyone, and you don't take that for granted. If this is the final season, it won't be announced with a farewell tour, at least not in the traditional sense. That's never been LeBron's style. But the weight of his presence, and the possibility of his absence, will be felt in every arena he steps into. Whether his next chapter lies in free agency, retirement, or something no one expects, the basketball world is bracing for a transition unlike any other. Because no matter how or when it happens, the end of LeBron James' career won't just close a chapter, it will mark the end of an era. Luca Doncic opens up about the first time he truly felt like a Laker. When the Los Angeles Lakers pulled off the blockbuster trade for Luca Doncic, it sent shockwaves through the NBA. Many questioned whether the Slovenian superstar actually wanted to be in LA, especially with just 2 years remaining before he could sign a new contract. It was a bold gamble by general manager Rob Pelinka, a high-stakes move aimed at securing the present and the future of the franchise. But for Doncic, the transition wasn't easy. He had grown up, professionally and personally, with the Dallas Mavericks. That organization and city were deeply embedded in who he was as a player. His dream was to bring a championship to Dallas. But as everyone in the league knows, the NBA isn't always about sentiment. Sometimes, it's about timing, fit, and the next opportunity. That was the moment I felt like a Laker. Adjusting to a new city, system, and spotlight mid-season isn't simple, even for a player as gifted as Doncic. He arrived in Los Angeles nursing a calf injury sustained on Christmas Day, and fans had to wait patiently for his first game in purple and gold. When that moment finally came, Doncic says it was unforgettable. "It was probably my first game when I started," he told the Wall Street Journal. "The way they welcomed me, all the jerseys on the chairs, that was the moment I felt like a Laker." That electric home debut at Crypto.com Arena wasn't just a welcome, it was a statement. The fans didn't treat him like a visitor or a temporary star passing through. They embraced him as one of their own. The noise, the energy, the sea of Doncic 77 jerseys, it all made a lasting impact. A new chapter, a new home. That moment was just the beginning. This season marks Luca's first full campaign as a Laker, and with the team healthy and retooled around him, expectations are high. In only 28 games last season, Doncic already gave Laker fans a taste of his brilliance. Jaw-dropping passes, clutch shots, and the type of creativity that only a generational player brings. Now, with a full preseason under his belt and the confidence of a new start, there's a sense that even greater moments are on the horizon. For Lakers fans, it's not just about wins, it's about watching greatness. And Doncic brings that in spades. A franchise that has his back. If there were any lingering doubts about whether Doncic belonged in LA, the Lakers have done everything possible to erase them. The organization has fully backed him, both on and off the court. After the season, Doncic had the chance to represent Slovenia in the FIBA Eurobasket, a tournament many NBA teams hesitate to support due to injury risks. But not the Lakers. Rob Pelinka and the front office didn't just give their blessing, they went a step further. Pelinka personally traveled to Poland to support Luca during the tournament, a clear message that he's not just a star in LA, he's family. That kind of support doesn't go unnoticed by players. And for Doncic, it may be exactly what he needs to commit long-term to the franchise. Looking ahead. As opening night approaches, there's an undeniable buzz around the Lakers. A new era is beginning, not just with a new face of the franchise, but with a player whose passion, talent, and competitive fire are ready to write the next chapter of LA's storied legacy. Luca Doncic may have needed a moment to feel like a Laker. But now that he does, he's ready to make the city, and the franchise, his own. And if the fans continue to give him the same energy they did on that first night, don't be surprised if this partnership becomes one of the defining stories of the decade. What Luca's arrival means for the Lakers' identity. For years, the Lakers' identity was built around LeBron James, a generational talent who brought leadership, championship pedigree, and global marketability. Now, with Luca Doncic stepping into the spotlight, the team is undergoing a subtle but powerful shift. While LeBron still plays a key role, it's becoming clear that the torch is being passed. Doncic brings a different energy. He plays with creativity and unpredictability, blending old-school court vision with modern offensive efficiency. He's not just a scorer, he's a playmaker who makes everyone around him better. Inside the locker room, his impact is already being felt. Coaches and teammates alike have spoken about his unselfishness, his communication, and his desire to win, not for individual glory, but for the team. It's not always easy for a player of his stature to join a franchise mid-season and immediately earn the respect of a championship locker room, but Doncic managed to do just that. Balancing the present with the future. The Lakers find themselves in a rare position, competing for a title while also planning for the next 5 to 7 years. Doncic is only 26 years old. He's just now entering his prime. If the front office can build the right roster around him, the team could extend its championship window well beyond the LeBron era. There's also a clear motivation from Doncic to make this work. Despite his deep connection to Dallas, he hasn't looked back publicly. His focus has shifted fully to Los Angeles. He's taken ownership of the opportunity, leaned into the challenge, and has embraced what it means to wear the Lakers jersey. According to team sources, Doncic has been highly engaged in off-season meetings with coaching staff, participated fully in preseason prep, and even took part in early conversations about long-term